Good afternoon. Welcome to the IEP meeting for Dan. I'd like to introduce me and my colleagues that are here. First, I'm Mr. Johnson, his superintendent. Over to my left here, we have Mr. Perrier. Mr. Perrier is his fourth grade teacher. And to our left over here, we have Mr. Lime, his PE teacher. And we're glad to have you here, Mr. Gatorade. First, I'd like to start off by saying that Dan has a great sense of humor. He's accepted by his peers. We have no problem with his social skills. He successfully participates at his math lessons. Science and social studies takes place in our general classroom, as you know. And he does experience success with an assignment notebook, reading of tests, and a peer tutor. So with that being said, that's great. But if I can turn this over to Mr. Perrier, he can explain where Dan really is struggling and why we brought you in today. Mr. Perrier? Yes. Dan has difficulty with reading and decoding strategies. His one-syllable and multi-syllable words are a very big struggle. And due to this fact, it affects his oral reading rate and has become slowed. He can identify most letters, combinations correctly in isolation, but when he puts them to words, he has some difficulty sounding them out and really understanding them. He cannot read classroom materials independently, but he does understand reading materials at grade level that he listens to. So his listening skills are very well adept to this. And he can report facts and make inferences basically from listening, which is good. But we really need to bring up his reading level. It affects his reading level really affects his ability to complete grade level reading and writing activities independently. At this point in time right now, Dan really can only read 110 words per minute and with 8 to 10 errors at a second grade reading level. Dan also does well, but he has a little bit of difficulty in writing and following directions. When their directions are there, he picks up on clues from his peers around him, but unfortunately, he can't really read them and comprehend them himself as well. He can follow maybe 1 or 2 step directions, but that makes it hard for him in a classroom setting to complete activities and assignments. And with his writing, his work contains many spelling errors and really lacks the necessary punctuation, and his sentences are only really 3 to 5 words in length. But I think we have some strategies that might help him that we can go over shortly. Thank you, Mr. Perry. Let's start with Dan's PE teacher, Mr. Lime. Hello, Mr. Gatorade. It's really nice to have you here. I just have to tell you, it's a pleasure to have Dan in our PE group. He's just a pleasure to work with. He's always got so much energy. He plays with his skills and his athletic skills and his motor skills are finely tuned for a fourth grader, as I might say. He can run, he can jump. I mean, he just has great skills, motor skills. His hand-eye coordination is great. And we just love to see him progress through his physical education part of this. He never really has any altercations while he's in physical education. He has many friends, and he's always first to be chosen for teams. So this is something that we really, really focus on. He's become a real team leader. He is a leader out there. He takes charge of what, and is able, what's funny is he's able to describe how to play certain games, describe them in great detail, which is really helpful, which we're trying to possibly cross over into his classroom to where he can read directions, read them, and comprehend them. So I've talked with his fourth grade teacher, and we're trying to kind of cooperate in helping him become more adept at that. But all in all, Dan's success rate in PE is phenomenal. He's far above the class. I would say he's in the 95th percentile. And he could be quite an athlete, but we really don't want him to focus strictly on athletics to get him through school. And so that is one thing that we are really concentrating on. Mr. Johnson? Thank you, Mr. Lyman, Mr. Perrier. Mr. Gatorade, do you happen to have any questions that we could maybe answer for you? Why, yes, I do. This is great to know. First of all, how many kids do you have per classroom that you're working with on a daily basis? Well, since we are a small school, we have about 15 students per class. Really nice size of classes. And the good thing is we're able to spend more individual time with him, but within the classroom, we can only give so much individual time per student. So we're thinking that it could possibly be a good idea to maybe pull him out twice a week, possibly, to give him more individualized work. And that would be 30 minutes every other day in the areas that he's really lacking in, which I hate to use the term lacking, but struggling maybe. And we'll try to keep him so that we can maybe integrate him back into the classroom, which would be great. How about any other questions? Mr. Gatorade? Well, do you have any special approaches that you might use to be able to help him with his deficiencies, if you will? But yes, of course, we sure do. And I would like to discuss that in what we call the MAG. We use a lot of acronyms in education. But the MAG is really measurable annual goals that we can set for Dan. And so that would be great. Do you have any other questions? And I can discuss that in a moment. Any other questions, Mr. Gatorade? Well, we've had him tested. My wife unfortunately could not be here today. She's in another meeting, so I'm taking as good of notes as I can to relay back to her. He has no real measurable issues. He just has this lack of attention or focus in groups, if you will. We find that when we're out and about as well. So what can we do about that? Perfect. We can talk about working and with him out of the classroom, like we said earlier, and help him transition back to the classroom where we can teach him to maybe focus a little bit. And as he becomes more successful in his reading and writing, we do believe that he will begin to get better, and those leadership roles that he displays in his physical education group, I think will transfer over into the regular classroom. And I think with that, it will really, really help him. How about any other questions? Mr. Gatorade. Dan is very great in math and science, and we're very proud of that. So how could we integrate those into maybe helping him in his other parts of the deficiencies that he does have? Great question. We have some things in this facility where we teach that are far different than some other schools. So we're thinking that possibly as he becomes better at what he's doing and becomes more proficient, if you will, we can use some of the scientific toys that we have to help as a reward as he gets better at what he's doing. We have a 3D printer where he can design, which he loves to do, and create something. We also have robotics, and since he has a knack for mathematics and science, this is something that we can use as a reward, because he'll also have to write, which he won't, that will be sort of cross-curricular that we can use. He'll have to write, which will be great, but it'll be something that he can gain time on, and as he gets better at what he's doing, he'll gain that time, and that's kind of a reward. Any other questions at this point? No, you've pretty much covered everything that I think we can do to help. What were those measurable annual goals? Can we discuss those a little bit? Absolutely. I have put 5 of them together for Dan. Okay, what I think we're going to try and do is, and we'll give you a copy of these so that you know what we're working on. I want you to be aware of everything that we're doing, and you are welcome to check in anytime. Come and visit the classroom. Be there with him to see if we're really doing what you would like us to do to help Dan. First, he's going to be given simple reading sentences. He'll read the sentences aloud with 120 words per minute. Like we said right now, Dan is only reading 110 words per minute with 8 to 10 errors. So what we're going to try and do is 120 words per minute with 1 to 3 errors by April 30th of this year. And then that's when our next meeting will be, and we'll discuss that in a moment. The second one will give him writing to comprehend. Dan will read 3-step directions. We noticed that he's having issues with 1 to 2, so we'll up that. 2 3-step directions. Copy them onto paper and explain what to do out loud. And this will have to be done 90% of the time by April 30th of 2017. The next thing we'd like to go is given simple sentences without punctuation. Since he is having his issues with writing, he will copy down the sentences and insert correct punctuation 95% of the time by April 30th, 2018. Okay. And that would be great. And he's also having issues with spelling, so we're going to give him simple spelling words first. Dan will copy them down 3 times each, and then be given a spelling quiz and must have 100% on his final spelling test by April 30th, 2017. And lastly, the 5th one I think we can deal with is given personal reading aloud. Dan will read aloud to a teacher and then write what he read about, and must be able to read at the 3rd grade level by April 30th, 2017. So those are our 5 goals that we're going to shoot for this year. And I'm hoping they're attainable, and I'm hoping that he'll outdo those goals. And then we'll be able to move on from there. Is there any other questions, Mr. Gatorade? Mr. Perrier? How about you, Mr. Lime? Nothing. Excellent. So, what we'd like to do at this point in time is our next meeting, we'd like to set up for April 30th, 2017, and go through these goals and see if he reached these, and reevaluate those goals at that time. How does that sound to you, Mr. Gatorade? That sounds great. I will let my wife know. Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Perrier, Mr. Lime, and Mr. Gatorade for coming in this afternoon, and I look forward to working with Dan some more and then reaching those goals that we have set. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.